Hey, everybody. It is October 6th. I am in San Diego, California, away from North Carolina, which is is difficult to be because they are struggling in the western part of the state still. So I'm making this video to remind everybody that the work ahead of um, the residents of the western part of North Carolina to recover from what happened last week is the road ahead is long, and uh, a day doesn't go by now for us that we don't hurt and worry about the people and the places that we love there in North Carolina. So just reaching out to remind everybody that if you have the means to contribute to the recovery, please do so. I'm going to add another link here uh, to help people donate and help through beloved Asheville. Um, anyway, we really appreciate any help you can afford, and we hope you're all doing well out there. Much love. Hey,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you from Scott Avett. Scott putting that out on his Instagram today. And here we are back for another episode of the Avetts and Beyond, an update, a part two to the Hurricane Helene relief effort. Todd Emanuele, Ryan Boyles, and Ryan's got some updates for us that we really wanted to get out there to follow up from the first episode that we did on this. Thanks, Ryan, for
Yeah.
doing this.
No, thank you. Everybody keeps thanking me. I feel like I'm doing. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm. I can't take any credit. I'm honestly just trying to collect, like you said, I'm trying to collect some resources and information that other people have been sharing across social media. I feel like I'm one of those chronically online people, and so have become really skilled at, digging through social. It's part of my day job. I'm sort of living on my phone all the time, so I feel like the least I can do is help organize and
Right, but
help people navigate this stuff.
you know what? We can say thank you to that for that though, because there's a lot of people that want to do something that have no idea what to do, and you putting this out here for us helps. It
Yeah,
helps. So
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Well, let's also give some thanks to Scott there. I mean, I
Yeah,
I just want to
absolutely.
thank everybody who's like in their own way, whether it's Scott, whether it's me, whether it's anybody that lives here in North Carolina is from and is from North Carolina. We um, we are affected in different ways. Some not directly, but again, we all have friends and family and know people that are affected by the Helene storm. So
Definitely.
again, least we can do is like follow up with some information about how people that aren't in North Carolina, maybe, or people that are just in a different part of the state that feel sort of powerless or kind of like you said, just want to know what to do. We can help connect them to the right people. I want to be a connector. So
Yeah, and before we
um,
continue with the North Carolina
yeah.
stuff, thinking of the people in Florida right now,
Oh yeah.
where they're going through, the same thing kind of. I mean, they took the brunt of it at first, and now they have another storm
Yeah. So
heading that way again this week, and it's just terrifying. Like, what do they
it's
do?
hard to think of. I mean, we saw today one of the other members of our Avett community posting on Facebook, who's down in that area of the country, and man, it looks like Category 5 storm.
Hmm.
And so to get hit back to back in less than a week,
How
uh,
do you come back from
I,
that?
I don't know.
Whew.
It's mind boggling. I mean, it's been hard. Like you and I went through like all the, I don't even know what you call it, all the like science behind Helene on the previous episode, right? And
Mhm.
barely scratched the surface of like being able to wrap our heads around that, and then to get hit with another one is wild.
Just as big, if not bigger, and
And
that's
we'll
that's
see. Like I mean,
horrifying. That can change, obviously.
maybe I guess we can all pray and hope
Mm,
that there's a different trajectory or something else, but it's not looking good.
no, not at
So
all.
yes, we need to keep everybody in Florida in our thoughts and see what help they're going to need. There were six other states. I mean, there was or six total, I believe, that were affected by Hurricane Helene. So I think we should also give a shout out to the men and women of our armed forces that are helping now. I mean, there's been so many deployments that's growing every day, quite frankly. I mean, I just saw another order for another set of activations in the Army and in the National Guard for more troops. We're personal friends with somebody, another Avetts community member, Nikki up in Virginia. Her husband got called up last Sunday night, and he deployed Monday. Or let me get this right. He was called up. He got had to report for duty, and then deployed there in Virginia. And so he just, I think, deserves our thanks as well. Like everybody out there trying to help deserves our thanks. And he's a so Jeff is he's the chief public affairs non-commissioned officer for the state of Virginia. So he is actually helping as a journalist. He's a photographer by trade, and so he is out there working with the 1032nd Transportation and 1033rd Engineering Unit. And there are pictures on Nikki's Facebook that she shared from him and on Instagram that are just wow. In Damascus, Virginia.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Yeah, no matter what your job is, being involved with that's not easy or fun.
We're gonna share
so
some.
Yeah, thanks.
I wanted to just scroll through some of these really fast. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've been inundated, but this is just showing the work. Like it's not about, to me, it's like we've seen the devastation. Right. Now we're seeing work done, right?
Now
we're seeing, and here's the governor. Here's the governor of Virginia, on the ground there helping and thanking and directing what's going on with the recovery. So yeah, a lot going on, but let's get to the matter at hand. So what I felt almost like bad that I wasn't more organized on our first show or our first episode that you and I just kind of like jumped in front of the camera and said, here's how you can help. But
right.
I have been adding links to my Instagram that we flashed up last time. So if you
we really weren't sure what we were going to do, so it worked out fine. But now that you've had
there was also, there was a big call to action as well for people to kind of like band together and help us, get the word out. Like I said, I'm trying to be a connector. So you can go to my Instagram. There's a highlight, which looks like a little circle bubble in your app or what have you. And it's essentially a collection of stories, meaning they're story posts. Normally those are temporary. They're only around for 24 hours, but a highlight sort of pins them to the top of your profile. Right. So there's a pinned highlight called Helene WNC. And I've been adding what I think are the best resources, and small and large. I mean, there was somebody who was just putting out a Facebook, like trying to share the Facebook post from a 60-year-old couple who just needed help, like with people to bring the chainsaws to like, because they're literally had a tarp over their roof and needed to, just have some immediate help, right? That they can't do. It's really, it's heartbreaking to see that kind of stuff in action. What I want to do, I guess, is run through some of the like county specific stuff that I was able to gather with the help of so my wife and Janai Parker, one of the other members of Avetts community, has been helping kind of compile some resources. But there's a lot of people that have sent them to me via Facebook, via Instagram, via X, and via text that go into this list. So let me pull that up real quick. Let's see here. So just to recap, it's such a wide area, so many counties involved here that it's kind of mind-boggling. It also includes 3 tribal areas. So it 20, I think we were talking about 25 counties were declared a disaster declaration, right? Which means they get certain levels of help, certain budget, certain funds to help get things done and to help with rebuilding, to help with in a way, I think of it as like it's like insurance policy, right? Like it's going to pay people back. It's not all going to happen at once, but it's going to help.
Wow.
and so what I wanted to do was kind of start out by saying that like the needs are changing is what everybody needs to understand. Meaning like um, things will shift into a different phase, if you will. I mean they had rescue. I mean, quite frankly, it was rescue operations right off the top, right in the beginning. And there are rescue operations that are continuing. I don't want to diminish that, but now there's a lot of actually recovery that's starting to take place as well. So you see like units like the National Guard who are going in to help with different things and other local groups. But what I'm trying to get to here is a lot of those initial needs for like getting pallets of water and getting certain food, fantastic help, and people have stepped up. There's still ways to do that, but what we want to highlight here is a lot of these nonprofits are kind of like inundated now with those contributions, and they need money so that they can choose some of the things that they need because they're overwhelmed a bit, is what we're seeing. And we're seeing this in Boone. We're seeing it. We're seeing them actually say pause bringing items until they release new lists of what their needs are of different items. And what we're starting to see now is also that the items are going to include things like blankets or sleeping bags or tents or clothing, because the weather, we're getting through the month of October. The weather's going to change, and the weather in the mountains is expected to get down potentially into the 40s by within a week's time. And so now you've got the concern of people who actually need warmth and need help in that regard. The other tip we wanted to give here is like, don't just show up to the mountains. It's sort of like, I know a lot of people were motivated to do that and try to like rush to the scene. But just arriving with a truckload of supplies is not what's needed now. They need to organize this, and they need to make sure that you're actually bringing, if you are going to bring things, you're bringing it to a designated sort of rally point, if you will, or a donation center or a specific place. And so some of the resource lists that I'm going to show you tell you where you can go. And then some of those supplies are being helicoptered in from places like Hickory. Some are just so that they can be put onto trucks or National Guard units that are approved, because now they want to track who's bringing in what. And it's, for the simple reason that they need to be organized and they need to know what it is and where they need to take it and who needs it. The other pro tip I want to give here, and this is kind of one that just like popped in my head this week, but my wife and I, we've often set up donations to charities through my employer. And I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes there's charity matching with your employer where you can pick from a big directory of different causes and different organizations, some of those national, some of those regional, but some of those local. And then your company, they usually have a matching program up to a certain threshold. So you could choose to either change your current charity plan that you've already got in place with your employer, or set up a new one and pick some of these organizations that would help with relief and recovery. And then you're doubling the dollars that go.
Yeah, that's great. Great idea.
to your choice. Really quick, but beware of scams. I don't know if you're like me, but I've been scrolling through Facebook all day and night, seeing all of try to collect a lot of this information. And what I'm seeing now is like, I'm being pitched a lot of ads for t-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Well, and strangely, like mountain gear. And it's like,
really,
a lot of these companies that are running, and these are not nefarious. I think it's like, Facebook's algorithm is just thinking that I'm like interested in going to the mountains now that I'm like looking at that content. And it's like, these companies should really question, why, maybe spending money right now in this part of the country on something that really is tone deaf and seems insensitive to those in need. When it's sort of, I don't know, that's my reaction to it. Maybe that's not the only reaction to have, but also just all these t-shirt ads for like, NC Strong and Western North Carolina. Some of these are scammers. In fact, a lot of them look sketchy. And so you should really be careful if you choose to go that route, that you're you've vetted the organization that you're going to buy from. I want to give a shameless plug to Raleigh's House of Swank, because they're making a really great T-shirt that you can click through on the document, and all the proceeds are going directly. In fact, I'm wearing a House of Swank T-shirt tonight. That is their pirate T-shirt. It's the Blackbeard Edward Teach T-shirt, right, from the famous the Blackbeard pirate flag, except he's holding a guitar and he's got hearts, so it's kind of cool.
Very nice.
Anyhow,
it's kind of easy to figure out which one of those T-shirt things are scams.
Yeah, a lot of them you can tell. You can tell that it's like they're kind of generic, kind of look like AI's generated the ads. It's if you've got a good eye, it's easy, but you just got to be careful and double and triple check these social profiles when you're giving Venmo donate. Like, I'm going to show you some Venmo donations tonight, but you do have to be careful with some of these that are. You just need to know who you're dealing with, and there's safeguards for Venmo, of course, with using the knowing what the phone number of the person is who you're donating to, or just having somebody that's going to vouch for it, because there's a lot of people that are trying to impersonate social media people or businesses. And I've already, one of the influencers I'm actually going to show you later on the list got her account cloned, and they just added an extra letter to the profile, and they had a Venmo set up, and they were trying to siphon money. So make sure you're doing that. And then like you said, there's a bunch of AI generated like garbage photos of like recovery going around that just it's mind boggling.
People fall for that stuff so easy too. It's crazy.
Well, I read about this person that I was friends with who was like fighting with their father, who refused to believe that it wasn't real. And even though there are tools that you can run images through now that allow you to like double and triple. It actually will detect if it's been generated.
Yeah. Well, that's important, but some of that stuff is so obvious. I mean,
oh yeah. Well, you've seen
people still fall for it.
Some of the politically motivated ones are, well, scary / funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I'm not going to get into that whole thing.
You can. So I have this broken into some sections just to make it easy. So I think we said this on the first episode, but if you're still in need of help with locating people or anything within the state, you can call 211.
Okay.
Or if you just need a welfare check, because maybe you've heard from somebody, but then you lose touch again. I mean,
Ryan, how many people still are unaccounted for? Do you know?
I don't have
this
an
isn't
updated
really
number.
Talked about very much up here
I mean,
anymore.
when I posted a few days ago, it was 600-ish.
Okay.
I read, I want to say it's down to 200, but again, like, I don't know how these numbers are being vetted. Like, there's a lot of people that I've read on the ground that are saying like death, the death toll is in the thousands, and like I don't want to like I can't dwell on those numbers are kind of scary to me. But point is, if you need help, even for wellness checks, there are authorities that are able to help with that direct line.
And the number is 211.
211 in the state, and you can dial it from any phone. There is another number if you're outside the state. If you have that situation, hit me up. It's a state government website. You can find it on. This is really cool. Charlotte Observer made this article where somebody built a searchable database of the condition of roads. And so I don't know how comprehensive it is. I just found this link before we got on the camera. But apparently, if you're questioning, like, if a road is passable, if it's blocked off, if you're trying to navigate this area, which again, we're saying you shouldn't be, don't go there unless you need to be there, right? But this is going to become more important, I think, as time goes on, to keep something like this up to date for everybody.
Well, isn't it illegal technically to be driving around in a county that's a state of emergency?
It's a subject for debate on the social medias. A lot of people think they're entitled to go anywhere, and but they are also perhaps putting themselves in harm's way, or they're impeding the work.
In the way.
I don't know. I'm not here to tell people what they can and can't do. I just want people to have the resources if they need to. But yes, some people are talking about being turned away from certain roads by authorities. It's not FEMA coming in to do that, though. It's law enforcement, and they're doing it for a reason, right? It's for your safety or for, other reasons. But anyhow, a couple of sources of news that I found really helpful. A lot of people were saying early on, like, why isn't this being reported more? And what I found is the local media is actually doing the best job. Like they are out there on the streets. There's like Asheville. I just want to tip my hat to Asheville Citizen Times. And I put this specific link in here because this is an updated article that they are keeping. It's another huge resource list. And so it has all kinds of information that's really great. Blue Ridge Public Radio, same thing. Follow these accounts. Like if Instagram is your daily driver for social, follow both of these because they are doing great reporting, great stories, great resources as well. I promise I'm getting to like how you help actual people here in a minute, but these are like general information. Voting. So this has been a hot topic. I mean, I know you and I don't want to talk about politics here, but it is important to vote no matter who you vote for. We all want to make sure that even the folks that are affected by Helene are not, kept from voting, let's say. And so North Carolina State Board of Elections has set up an Helene resource page. They're working to help if you've lost your house and you've lost water and you've lost everything, like voting might not be at the top of your list, but anyhow, they want to be here to help. And in fact, they are publishing press releases from individual counties that are giving even more specific ways. So Watauga County, for example, published this resource site so that you know exactly how to get answers to certain questions, or if there's a situation, right, where you've got to change your plan for voting, if you've got to, if you're trying to do early voting or if you're trying to do absentee ballot, they're there to help because absentee ballots were actually mailed out recently. They were delayed because we had to change the ballot. However, they are going out across the state, but guess what? A lot of these folks may not have a mailbox. So there's got to be a plan B, and they're trying to help. So a lot of people are concerned, right, about they want to vote no matter what. So
we're a month out from election day, so
we're a month out.
Definitely something to think about and worry about.
I wanted to repeat. So I want to get into some of the organization stuff, and this is just going to be at the top level, and then we'll get into a few of the counties that have specific things. So we said this on the previous show. I want to say it again. North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund is a great way to, if you just want to blanket write a check that is going to the right people, like the United Way or the Red Cross or some other organizations under, that the state is actually coordinating with on the ground, you can just send it through this very simple link and do it from your phone. Couldn't be easier. Did you know that you can go to Charity Navigator and actually see ratings and reviews of charities?
Oh, nice. Okay, that's
so if you're concerned, if you want to double check any of the ones in this list, or if somebody's telling you about the work that somebody's doing, you can check it out. And it's always good to see where your money's going or how the organization is doing. Anyhow, North Carolina State University's my alma mater. Go Wolfpack. They have a disaster recovery information page that's got some very specific things related to the extension, that part of the university. So another resource list that I thought was a good one. I'm not including just lists for the sake of it here. These are ones that I've sort of vetted through. I wanted to get in some very specific causes that are statewide here. So NC Arts Disaster Relief Fund. So Asheville's known for art and artists and music and all those sorts of things, but really Western North Carolina is known for music. I mean, think about, like, Todd, you and I met because of North Carolina music.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't know each other. Everybody I've talked about on this episode, we would not know if it weren't for the Avetts brothers, for example.
Correct.
And so there's an arts disaster relief fund that is specifically set up to help with that part of our our community, right? There's going to be a lot of people in need. And like we talked about on the previous episode, like tourism, music venues, things like that. Like we've got to keep them going, and we've got to support the people that are going to be recovering for a little bit from this. Likewise, mental health. So part of the governor's disaster declaration actually unlocks the ability for us in this state to actually activate mental health professionals. That's part of what they do with the funds, is they actually allow, they activate, and then they have mental health professionals that do these pro bono referrals. So there's a whole Google spreadsheet, if you click this link, that has an entire list of all the people that you can contact if you're looking for help in your area, or if you're in urgent need of any kind while this is going on. School, right? All the kids are out of school. So the North Carolina Foundation for Public School Children is mobilizing to support how are the schools going to recover? What are the resources that students need? Guess what? If there's a large percentage of school kids who get their meals, of course, from going to school.
Right.
What are they doing? So there's so many dimensions to this, and so if you want to specifically donate to help the North Carolina public education system with dealing with, how they're going to help students and how they're going to help schools in this area, in these 25 counties, this is the way to do it. All right. I think we mentioned this one before, but Operation Airdrop. I'm mentioning this one again because they're continuing to do helicopter operations where they are airlifting in supplies, and not just food now. So we're going to get into some of these other organizations, but medical supplies, oxygen, name all the things that kind of, if you didn't have it for a day, you'd be in dire straits, right? There's a lot of people in need that, if you're cut off from medication, if you're cut off from a lot of things, these airdrops are bringing those things in, and they're just flying missions around the clock. And they're doing it in coordination with a lot of the other organizations that I'm about to tell you about. And they're working together to make sure that this stuff can get taken to the right places. United Way of NC. I don't think I have to explain what the United Way does, but they have a really great Helene website set up with like very easy to click sort of buttons where you can navigate for all kinds of assistance. So it's just a great organization for everybody to support. You can tell this document is not in any kind of particular order here because we're going to switch back to music for a minute. So recently, just last week, the World of Bluegrass Festival and the International Bluegrass Music Association had their annual gathering, and it's in downtown Raleigh. It's about to move actually to Chattanooga, I think, next year. It's been in Raleigh for the past 5 years, but hundreds and hundreds of bluegrass musicians descend for like a week and a half. Wonderful music. Sierra Farrell was one of the headliners. Amethyst Kia, who both of them are on Ramsar Records, right? That we know. And so they have set up a trust fund again to specifically help musicians who are in need from this area. So great cause if you want to direct your money that way.
Awesome.
And so there's more information also about, I thought this is interesting. So it's called the Indie Music Venues United for Western North Carolina. Quite a mouthful, but basically what it means is Cat's Cradle, Hall River Ballroom, Motor Co. in Durham, Neighborhood Theater in Charlotte, Poorhouse in Raleigh, Ramcat in Winston-Salem, Cat's Cradle's in Carborough, Hall River Ballroom is in Sexapaha. You have to learn how to say that if you're from here. It's taken me years. Anyhow, all of these indie music venues are banding together to take a percentage of their venue revenue. And basically what they're saying is don't stop coming to music things all across the state, because we're going to help the folks in Asheville that are down and out, the music venues that are there that everybody loves. So this is just another example of the community supporting the community. Like a lot of these music venues are, they're all competing with each other in one regard, right? Because they're all hosting wonderful acts and talented acts and up and coming acts and acts we all know and love, but they're coming together, which is a beautiful thing to see. Beer. I told you about beer, and you seemed surprised when we talked about it in the last episode. However, Western North Carolina region, Asheville is considered Beer City, USA. So I don't know. I mean, I'm partial. I'm biased. When you compare it to like Colorado, or you compare it to Portland, or there's other places in the country that like to claim that crown, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Asheville because I think they do deserve it. Wonderful, wonderful brewers there. So this is what's happening. There's an in North Carolina Brewers Guild that is getting together all of the breweries around the state that aren't in Asheville or aren't in Western North Carolina, and they are doing a thing called pouring for the neighbors. And basically what it means is they have asked all of the breweries around the state to create a special pouring for the neighbors beer. And usually it's branded, certain kind, it's a special can, it's a special, flavor, maybe, I don't know, special profile. And at least $1 from every single one of those beers that you buy and drink is going to go towards essential supplies and emergency relief. There's also a way, and if beer's not your thing, you don't want to drink it, that's fine too. They've also got ways for you to just donate directly and volunteer. And then last but not least, they also have just relief and support for the breweries that are affected, meaning there's so many breweries in Asheville. Wicked Weed. I could start naming them, but if you click through, you'll actually see the list. Point being,
you'll be buying the beers.
I will be buying the beers, yes.
And your wife will be donating money because she doesn't
That
like
is correct. Unless we do I don't know, maybe we should do a special Kim Tries Beer.
Yes.
Where we have some kind of donation angle. I would be down with that.
Those by the way are spectacular. I love that.
Yeah, if you don't know what Todd's talking about, my wife and I like to have fun. So I like to go to breweries. She likes to go to breweries, but she has a very, let's say, selective palate. I don't know. Anyhow,
that works.
Hilarity ensues when we film her Kim Tries Beers videos on Instagram Reels, so check them out. Anyhow, let's get back to it. Samaritan's Purse, we mentioned last time, but this is an organization that is just like, oh my gosh, they are such a big help on the ground. They are a faith-based organization, meaning like a lot of the workers are like actual pastors that have just, they're on the ground, they're out there with chainsaws, they've got a whole apparatus where they just showed up with like tractor trailers full of just like equipment and help and people. And it's them because they've got orange hard hats and orange t-shirts on, and it's fantastic. I'm a United Methodist member, and I just wanted to throw up like global ministries from the UMC are organized as well. So there are many organizations like that, and I'm actually going to show you some in the counties as well. But there are a lot of faith-based organizations that have, an extension and a volunteer, ability, and they're helping quite a bit. I want to give a shout out to NASCAR driver Greg Biffle. So if you haven't seen Greg, he owns his own helicopter, and he's one of the guys that just said, "Screw it, I'm gonna like mobilize a whole team." People and fly out there to the affected region and just help. And he's one of the people that's been organizing some of the airdrop missions from Hickory and other places. He also just, if you go to his X account or his Instagram, he's like just doing aerial like reconnaissance, I guess, of certain areas and showing the affected areas. And helping in any way you can. And so there's a nice article that NASCAR printed just yesterday about, his calling, if you will.
Yeah,
and I just
that's awesome.
Got it. And I think Dolph gave him a shout out on social a few days ago. So like same here, just tipping our hat for the work he's doing. Yeah. And there's many others, by the way. Like I'm not like trying to show preferential treatment, but anyhow, let's talk about some county support. So a lot of this county support was my way of saying, like, look, we know people all across the region. We just showed you at the top of this show 25 counties plus 3 tribal areas that need help, and they're not all in Asheville. Let's just put it like that. Asheville needs a lot of help. It's a wonderful part of the planet. However, a lot of these other areas are, gosh, just wonderful as well, right? And wonderful people. So, so one of our other Avett friends lives in Avery County, Katie Elder. So she sent me these links to help. There's a direct donation link here on the Giving Tuesday site for supporting Banner Elk. Well, she is, and thankfully she's okay managing. We've been in touch. She also gave me a Venmo link for the Green Valley Volunteer Fire Department to make monetary donations to them, and I've got the code in here. And she, a lot of this is just being driven by volunteer firefighters who are the first responders.
Right.
And they are the ones that are collecting food. They're making deliveries. They're of course doing the work that their primary function, which is saving people's lives. But yeah, this is a rally point, at least in Avery County, that she wanted me to say. And then this is just, the next one is somebody named Maggie James is just cooking meals for people at the Best Western in town. And she just wants money to keep doing it. That's it. Not complicated.
Yeah.
So if you're in need and you need a hot meal, she's there for you. And these are the ones that Katie wanted me to share because she just felt like,
throw her some money and
you might not hear about them otherwise. And look,
right,
a little bit of money times however many people see this goes a long way, right?
That's great. Yeah, throw her some money and she's cooking for people that need it. That's incredible.
Skip your Starbucks tomorrow morning, donate to Maggie. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
All right, Watauga County. So Watauga County is where Boone is located. So a lot of people are probably as familiar with Boone as they are perhaps with Asheville. But what I wanted to do is give a shout out to their Chamber of Commerce is freaking awesome. Meaning there's a guy on their social media. So go follow their Instagram account to see. He's been just a resource nonstop, videos and things. And he's one of the ones that broke down like, hey, we need you to pause donating for a day and give us till Monday to get caught up, and then we're going to let you know what else we need. So he's been tirelessly doing videos around the clock trying to help people understand how to navigate all this. And then I just wanted to give, as somebody in the that does social media and communications every day, just want to give a hat tip to what they're doing there. The next one's a great organization called Wine to Water. So they, you can find them on Facebook, but they've been organizing, and we just wanted to show that like you can bring donated items to their warehouse. They've been mobilizing there. They still want water. So they've got specific needs, and then they are also looking for you to volunteer with them. So they're organizing, and then they have a way for you to give and sponsor food and water donations monetarily as well. But they've been doing fantastic work with all the equipment from their farm. I don't want to say this one's funny, but it is. Have you ever heard of Meat Camp, North Carolina?
Nope.
All right. Well, some of us have, because I don't know. If you're from North Carolina like me, sometimes you kind of cringe when you see North Carolina in the news, because usually it's North Carolina being made fun of, or it's bad news, or it's like, why does North Carolina got to show up there? Like, there's kind of an in-joke with North Carolinians, I think, that sometimes we get made fun of. And so there's a place called Meat Camp in Watauga County, and they need a lot of help. I mean, the pictures there that I reviewed today were, they need a lot of help. So I wanted to include them there, because it's another place that, like, you probably heard about it if you saw it in some jokey article, but I mean, hey, unfortunate name, but hey,
where did the name come from?
I don't actually know the whole story. I remember that being in the news recently. When I say recently, I mean years ago. Time has no meaning now, apparently, after the pandemic. So I can't tell time.
Right.
But
doesn't exist.
Yeah, just funny name, but serious need. Let's talk
We'll
about Ashe County.
That. I will be Googling Meat
Well,
Camp.
everybody's going to be Googling it after this show. Go support Meat Camp. So I want to call out Ashe County because it is one of so I got so I'll give you a bit of a tangent story here. My wife and I went and met we met Zach Galifianakis this afternoon.
Oh, wow.
So Zach Galifianakis, which I feel like I'm never saying his name properly because it's such a mouthful. However, and it's
Galifianakis, right?
it's even harder to spell is what I've found. Because I thought I was good at spelling, but anyhow, he was in Raleigh because he is from Wilkesboro, North Carolina, grew up here. He lived in Allegheny County. He went to North Carolina State University where I went to school. He was there just a couple of years before me. Go Wolfpack. And he decided to, come into town today just to help campaign for one of our somebody who's running for governor, Josh Stein. But honestly, they said, don't bring money, only bring things that we need to take to Western North Carolina. So great effort being put there. And, his words were, he's here to support the state. So anyhow, the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's a nice segue because he called out that like these counties that need help, Asheville is getting a lot of help. I'm not saying they don't need it. I'm simply saying some of the counties he rattled off are the ones I'm talking about tonight. Watauga, Ashe, Avery, Haywood, they are in dire straits. So let's go to Ashe County, talk about Ashe County. The reason I got these resources is because Lisa Creech Bledsoe, who you see here, is kind of a friend of mine from Raleigh, and now she lives out in Ashe County. So years and years ago when social media was invented, going to tell you another history lesson. So we used to have these tweet ups in Raleigh that I organized with some other folks, and it was essentially social networking in real life when Twitter was a new platform back in like 2006, 7, 8, 9. We would have these crazy cool meetups all around Raleigh area. And Lisa Creech Bledsoe was one of the people that you develop friendships and network from these that, now almost 20 years later, she reached out to me and I saw that she had a resource list for Ashe County and she's like, here's what we need. And if you click through and look at this, and if you look at my Facebook in particular, the article I shared of hers today, which I didn't link here, but it's probably in her blog because she's a fantastic blogger. It's an art form. She thinks that the Creston Fire Department could use some direct help, but she also said they need ATVs. They need some significant resources just because, again, this part of the state, this county is so rugged, and the difficulty of navigating that terrain. It's like, well, if we've got chainsaws, but we can't get where we're going. So they have different needs, and I want to provide those links for them in Ashe County.
Okay.
How we doing here? Is this good to keep going? All right.
Yeah,
Keep going. Let's keep going. All right, McDowell County. So Foothills is a brewery that started in Winston-Salem, which is my hometown where I grew up. It's where my parents and my sister live today. That's in the central part of the state in Forsyth County. Winston-Salem, some people know Winston-Salem, but it is the home of Old Salem, where the Moravians first settled in this in the country when the state was first formed. And Winston-Salem is also home to things like RJR. So if you're a cigarette smoker, you probably know Winston-Salem. But it's also home to some really good breweries. So Foothills is one of them, and they expanded and have multiple locations now. And in McDowell County, which is a very rural area, they have a food hub, and they have a fantastic resource page for how you can get in touch with how they're organizing their resources regarding food, water, meals, shelter, supplies, farming needs. So I'm going to get into farming needs here in a minute. It's not just food and water that people need, but they are organizing fantastic stuff there. The other thing that I want to shout out is another musician. So Dylan Walsh, I believe he's from Ireland. Like, go check out his Instagram. He actually lives in Black Mountain now, near Black Mountain, I should say, because I think McDowell, and if I've got my geography right, McDowell and Buncombe are sort of must be side by side. So I've seen him posting on Instagram. He looked to be in dire straits when the storm hit. I was worried about him. I saw Dylan actually at the Hall River Ballroom and blew me away. Blew me away. Anyhow, Dylan has been reporting on the ground with what they need in that part of the state. Fantastic stuff. So again, just another kind of personal connection. And he was telling me that the first shower and meal that they got was at Camp Greer, which is near Old Fort. And so that is another place that people can go. That's like a lodge. It's like a camping ground that is open their doors for people to come and find some relief.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So you can see all his stuff on his Instagram, you're
Oh
saying?
man, I've got videos I haven't even published of his yet from that night at Hall River that I'm gonna do it now because like he again like fantastic guy.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. I think he's also friend. I'm trying to remember now. I think he's friends with David Childers.
Oh, okay.
Everybody knows somebody, I guess. Anyhow, Haywood County. So another remote part of the state, but there's a connection sort of here where this is the blogger that I was mentioning that got her identity, compromised or fake account basically where somebody was trying to steal Venmo funds. But Cassie Clark is from Haywood County. And she look, this is not me putting labels. She calls herself, a hillbilly. And look, it's very tongue in cheek. She has a website called Where the Dogwood Blooms, which the dogwood flower is the state flower of North Carolina. She's a fantastic human. She's very opinionated in a good way, meaning she's trying to educate people on Southern culture, North Carolina history. So literally every day of the week, she's posting something cool about our state, about our, I can't even say enough about what she does. But then she also has been hosting spaces, which are the audio, the chat rooms on the X platform. And
You must say Twitter
trying to
every
organize.
time,
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're getting near the end of the list here.
Okay.
But this one actually came from multiple sources, including Cassie. Follow Cassie for other news. She's trying to organize people and information. She's also trying to cut through some of the rumors and get to the truth of what's going on in a fair and balanced kind of way. But farmers need help too. So lots of livestock and animals that need attention. And so the WNC Regional Livestock Center in Canton, which is in her county in Haywood, they have a wish list of what they need. And so they either need the items or they need delivery or funds for these items. So some of these, maybe money wouldn't help, so they just need it donated. But there's got to be a way, right, for us to airdrop this stuff in and help. Or there's going to be even more tragedy with some of the livestock and some of the animals around the state. So they're trying to be a rally point for some of that stuff, which I think is fantastic. And that's another way. If you're an animal lover, that's a way you can help. Let's talk about Buncombe County to wrap it up here. Buncombe is, of course, home to Asheville. I also think their county government is doing a fantastic job on social media. So if you follow their Instagram, great info there, both for the citizens of the county and also just for the world in what's going on. I wanted to share some charities that our mutual friend from the Avetts community, Tara Marie Hackett, who lives in Asheville, had provided me. So she owns a store, a boutique in Biltmore Village that completely got wiped out. So she's been spending her time starting the recovery, I guess you should say, of sending in. I don't. It sounds horrific. So a lot of the mud. Let me just take a tangent here to give you kind of the status of what she shared with me. And she shared some photos and some videos, but she hasn't had internet or water or power. And so she's entering day whatever it is of like just trying to deal with the situation. A lot of the mud and stuff is now turning to dust, which is toxic. And a lot of the buildings that have been flooded and just damaged are crumbling and falling apart,
Wow.
which is also toxic. And so when you see people on the ground there, they're wearing, like, at this point, like the restoration people going into her building look like they're in full hazmat suits.
I was just gonna say, they're wearing hazmat suits. They must
And
be.
what she was saying was she can only enter the building for a short period of time, even wearing like a full blown N95 mask, like you would have, like she probably had left over from the pandemic, right?
Yeah, right.
And so you really need a full respirator. And so you're that's another need, by the way. I didn't put it in this list, but there's going to be a need for people to provide equipment just like we did
Flashback.
for the pandemic, just like we did for 9/11. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. Like there's going to
Yeah.
be crews in here and it's going to be awful. And we're only getting started. So
Yeah.
if you have a way to help with that kind of equipment, maybe, or you know who we should put into this resource list if you're listening, if you know and you're listening, let me know and I'm going to put it in this list so that other people can help with that. But she said it's been just soul wrenching hard. But she considers herself lucky and she's very positive because honestly, I mean, she's blessed and yes, it is terrible what she's going through, but it's not as bad as some, right? It's not as bad as losing a loved one or
Right.
that sort of thing.
Yep.
So she provided me these next 3 or so because she said, you know, the Buncombe Community Christian Ministry, they're doing great work. They've got a resource page I've linked. Western Carolina Rescue Ministries, another faith-based organization. They have food banks and other resources that they're applying. And then the Mana Food Bank, they're doing God's work too, getting food distributed, organizing. Going back to animals, the Brother Wolf Animal Rescue, they need $500,000 to save their facility. So they apparently were able to get out all their animals.
Oh, good.
But where do you go?
Yeah, where do you go?
Their facility has been completely decimated.
Jeez.
And so if you go to their website, if you care, I mean, Humane Society, there's going to be a lot of organizations around animals that are going to need help. We've seen a lot of like rescues and stuff happen with like, they just fished 3 dogs out of the river, like with boat crews. You know, I saw that on the news last night. A lot of that's still happening. But anyhow, if that is near and dear to your heart, great way to contribute. Homeward Bound. All of these organizations, like I don't need to like belabor it too much, but like the AIDS Project, critical healthcare for a certain part of the, for a part of the population that can't go without their treatment, right? Or they have immediate needs. The Steady Collective, they are an organization that they help with things like needles, clean needles, a sharps collection, like all the stuff that, like, frankly, like there are going to be people that need EpiPens. There are people that need Narcan. There are people that, like, all of those things have now been disrupted. And these are the organizations that support those in need day to day with certain just things that, like, I mean, let's be real. More people are going to die without help. The Pansy Collective, they are actually normally an arts and benefit type of collective, but they have rallied around helping, again, the trans community in Asheville, and they have specific needs. Mutual aid resource list. I wanted to end it with this because this is a list of it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff from all kinds of organizations that, like, it was exhausting. I spent hours and hours building this list and collecting all the fantastic suggestions from people. And I probably forgot a few, and I apologize for people that have been sending me comments and messages and, emails, but
You
you know,
really have been thinking about
there
nothing but
are,
this for the last several days,
yeah.
and it's amazing.
Well, there are, this is a list of lists. Let's put it that way. Almost
Yeah.
every link that you see here is just a link to another list that it's meant to be like choose your own adventure. If you want to help, these are ways to do it, to help with those in need. So, I mean, uh, again, like just to organize the information is a huge obstacle. So imagine the people that are there trying to do the work. Like
No.
they need our help.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
They need our help.
And
And like Scott said at the top in his video today, like I could recognize that expression on his face. Because I have felt really overwhelmed. I have felt really like it's very personal when it's happening to somebody down the road
right.
or a special place that you like. Asheville is special to him, is special to us. A lot of that part of the country, Grandfather Mountain. There's so many places in that part of the state that, yeah, need help. And I think we said this on the previous episode, but the fall foil, and this is what Tara actually said in her video this morning that she posted, is like she did it because the leaves are already starting to change around her house. And this part of the country is known for the tourism around.
Mm,
He said, like they bus in people nonstop every weekend for the next, 2 months. While the fall foliage, it's like a light show, except it's literally the trees changing colors in this part of the state. And a lot of those forests were devastated by the storm, by the wind and by the water. But the biggest problem is that the storm is going to keep those tourism dollars and people away that cannot travel there. And
right.
this is their busy season. Quite frankly, from now through New Year's is their busy season. So it's
They're
also going to
hurting.
affect a lot of those. We talked about music venues and breweries, but it's going to affect a lot more than that. It's going to
Yeah.
affect all of those local business owners. And so this is going to be, that's why I'm saying I recognize that look on Scott's face because I've been feeling it. It's like it's going to be a long, long road. And I just hope if you feel like you can help and you want to help and you feel like you have the ability to help,
Right.
hopefully you can find somewhere in here where you can feel good about it and that it's going directly to a cause that matters to us for sure, and it can matter for you as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for putting that list together. Are you gonna post the physical list where people can click on links somewhere
I
easy for them
will.
to find?
This is a Google Doc. Like I said, if you want to private message me on Instagram, on Facebook, on X, you can kind of find me as the Rab, RAB or my initials. If you want to private message me, I'm happy to add links to the doc, which is a live doc on Google. I think I'm going to actually export it as a PDF or as an image or something and post it on. I don't know. It's 8 pages long now. I
Wow.
need to put it somewhere. I will figure that out and we'll get a link going so that people can read it. I'm thinking I might put a PDF on Dropbox to make it super easy for people to click on something and be able to read it on their phone. Because
Great.
the other thing here is like I wanted to work. I started working with Tara on this, and I also work with Tara on a information list of like people to call in our
Mhm.
like in local officials and stuff. And it's a spreadsheet, but she can't access it. Like if you don't have, you don't
Yeah.
have internet and everything. Like it's kind of like even your smartphone can only do so much. So
Yep.
uh, if we export a PDF, I think that's the best way to do this, and then it'll make it super easy for people to pass it around via a text message or read it on your phone, no matter what phone you have. And keep following me on Instagram if you want to see more of the stories that we're collecting under the highlight Helene WNC for a lot of these same organizations in this list are you can see their content in this highlight.
Well, this is great. And we may have a third part to this if something comes up
Well,
where
we'll see.
it's something important at
We'll
least.
see.
We
I
we
mean,
can jump
I'm
back on.
happy to do that. I'm just happy to like just keep connecting people to information. So we'll
Well,
see.
we appreciate
I'm
it.
happy to help. And
Yeah,
thank you, Todd, for giving the platform, honestly,
yeah,
for doing this. Because honestly,
absolutely.
we just are trying to reach. There's been so many people probably asking just what to do and where the help is needed. And I think
Yeah.
it's special to know that like these are directly from our friends and family and Avett community that have been vetted. We know who's doing the work. And you can feel good about it making a difference in somebody's life, quite frankly.
Yeah, and you said, people keep saying thank you, and all you're doing is putting a list together. But man, thank you for taking the time to do this, because you put a lot into this, and it's gonna help. It's gonna help. So thank you,
We're just
Ryan.
getting started, and
Yep.
we got to keep our heads up. So yeah, all righty.
All right.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Todd.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.